Welcome to Nutrition Nuts, where we discuss the latest nutrition breakthroughs, supplements, and wellness choices with leaders in the natural products industry, health practitioners, and research scientists. I'm your host, Jim Wilkes, certified nutritionist. Thanks to our main sponsor, HollyHillVitamins.com, the place for great selection, service, and prices. Check out their extensive wellness library for updated science-based info. James LaValle, thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate you being on once again. One of my favorite people here to do shows. I always learn something, which is cool after doing this for so many years. So I know you're a busy guy, and I want to get to it. Folks, we were just talking right before we got Jim on here. I remember you've done so many books, and but you got a new one that just came out recently. You said Peptides, and give me a little brief on that there.
Yeah, so one of the areas teaching at the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine and chairing the International Peptide Society. I wrote a handbook on kind of getting people up to speed on what are peptides and what are the most popular ones that are out there, and some of them. Like the first peptide in the, ever was insulin.
Right.
We figured out.
Yeah.
So it's kind of important.
Yeah.
And then, of course, all the hoopla now about GLP-1s.
Right.
I mean, GLP-1s are peptides. And so they're smaller than protein, and it's a chain of amino acids, and they provide specific signals in your body. And so I wrote, had that book out this last year, and then I've got a revamp of the metabolic code book coming out this year, and then a performance enhancement book, because I work with a lot of professional athletes and military tactical groups. So I've got wear a couple hats, in addition to obviously acting chief science officer at Lifetime. So we've got lots of people interested in training and living a healthier life there. About a couple million people worth. So. It's always at top of mind is how to get better education across, and what are the important things for longevity, and to get that really awesome health people are looking for.
Well, I'm a big gym rat, so I just finished reading Peter Attia's book, Outlive, and how he stresses that probably exercise is, in his opinion, is key, is number one. That you can actually, how can I say this, cheat a little bit on the rest of your lifestyle, your food choices, things like that. But the exercise is so amazing, especially getting your VO2 max up. And he feels that that's more it's more indicative of a longevity pathway. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, Peter Attia has got a lot of value. A lot of people are listening to him, but I kind of disagree with that. I mean, I think exercise is one component of good health. Mm-hmm. And, eating well is one component of good health. If you have a gluten intolerance and you think that you can cheat by, exercising, I mean, I've seen this over and over again. People that, they haven't had they don't pay attention to where their chemistry's at. So, while I agree with him that exercise is invaluable, muscle being important for the aging process, and your VO2 max is good, but it's like anything, right? You can't have one marker that's going to dictate everything about your health. Your body's just too complex. There's more to it than that. Like, I have people that have a great VO2 max, but yet their blood sugar's high. So that means they're going to, damage their blood vessels, whether they're exercising or not. So that's kind of how I land on it. I think you got to pay attention to all of it, and why would you worry? If you're putting all that effort in on exercise, why would you worry about how much you get to cheat? It's kind of contradictory to me, but
I guess I phrased that wrong, folks, too. Jim LaValle's right. It's the three legs of the stool kind of a thing. You need that balance there. And of course you got to eat right and do all the good things there, and taking some good supplements too.
That's right.
Yeah. So, also I just wanted to ask you, how do you feel about before we get into the topic of the day, which is garlic, folks, Jim was also voted at one time as one of the top 50 pharmacists in the country here by Druggist Magazine. How do you feel about the pharmaceutical industry, big pharma? It's gotten a lot of kicks in the tush in the last couple of years there. Where do you think the pharmaceutical industry is going? What direction and things?
Well, I mean, they're not going anywhere, right? I mean, people are always going to be sick. They poured billions of dollars into research. I think what's unfortunate is that there seems to be this inability to allow smaller entrepreneurial pharmaceutical environments like compounding pharmacy, and then, the conventional big pharma to you kind of have this happy coexistence where innovation can take place, with bright pharmacists who are kind of out there on their own, and then kind of that corporate, aspect of developing a drug and getting it out to market. I think, obviously pharmaceuticals are going to, the company's going to have to change with these people's mindset. Hey, we're moving towards wellness. We're really moving towards performance, health, and longevity, and not just a silver bullet approach. Don't get me wrong. Still need that silver bullet approach because people get in acute conditions. They need a silver bullet.
Sure.
And then also for people that don't want to take care of themselves. Yeah, and look, this isn't a criticism. This is people come to a time in their life or they just haven't decided they want to take care of themselves. And if they don't, well, they still deserve some kind of care. There's just a different benefit risk ratio when you're not making good decisions about diet and exercise and stress and sleep, and you just want, hey, I want a drug that's going to lower my risk of death of, a heart attack. And I'm not willing to change much yet. So I think, that's kind of where I see it. I think that I hope that for everybody, every industry in healthcare, we move towards meeting that consumer demand of people really want to be well and really want to know what to do in general. I think that's where things are going now. That's why books like what Peter Attia wrote are bestsellers, right? Because people are out there buying them and wanting to know.
Well, thank goodness garlic isn't a prescription yet, right? So I think we can be thankful.
Well, right. Exactly.
It's just for people who are unaware of this fantastic plant. Give me a little history about garlic there. How long has it been around? Who used it back in the past? And oh
my gosh.
Yeah, I know. And some of the benefits of it.
I mean, you go back to Egyptian, Roman times, Chinese medicine. You've got, for ages it was used as antibacterial to strengthen and fortify individuals, and so ward off evil spirits, right? Protect against the plague,
yeah, right.
All that stuff. So it's been around for generations, literally. And so that's for garlic, that's been it. Now, the real opportunity, of course, came across over the last 60, 70 years where they started to be more specific about how garlic was extracted and of course, understanding the chemistry of garlic. There's some interesting, cool stuff. Like they take garlic right now, they freeze dried it. I heard this at the International Garlic Symposium in Germany, and they freeze dry the allicin in fresh garlic, which we know allicin's very unstable, so you've got to keep it under frozen conditions.
Right.
And in experimental models, they actually injected it into cancer cells, and in a cancer cell model, like in animals, and lo and behold, it dissolved the cancer. Right. So there's all kinds of interesting chemistries from it, but I think the most interesting one that's the most published, most studied, of course, is aged garlic extract, and 900 plus studies and a variety of benefits that it gives individuals.
Well, that's the thing. Most people are aware of aging things or fermenting things seems to increase the potency or increase the benefits when you do something like that. Just like cheeses or wine, or I was going to say my body, but I don't think so. Uh, but things seem to get a little bit better when you take the time to do something that prepare something that way. And that's what I always loved about the Kyolic brand of garlic is that it's a process that takes almost a couple of years to come to fruition. Correct?
It's 20 months.
Mm.
20 months of aging. It doesn't necessarily ferment.
Right.
Like, obviously, you ferment cabbage, you get sauerkraut, and you get all the benefits for your GI tract with sauerkraut juice, right?
Right.
And, the probiotic and the microbiome and all that. But in the aging process with garlic, it really changes the composition. So you literally are getting a completely different family of natural compounds that happen in the aging process. They create a whole new level of benefit for taking aged garlic extract.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, the recent studies they've come out, just been like, wow, even more benefit, and I really think that, when people become aware, they're listening today and they got to run out and get some aged garlic extract because, heart disease is still our number one killer. So we're all into longevity now, right? We're buying Attia's book. We're listening to Huberman, whoever, right?
Right.
And we're all into this stuff. But in the end, you still have to create foundational wellness. So that to me is important. So where are your lipids at? Are you making bad actor lipids? Apolipoprotein B, lipoprotein little a. Are you making more inflammatory cytokines in your body, which everybody understands, cytokines now since, our pandemic, and I think, where's my glucose at? How is my stress levels at? If you don't get that stuff under control, then it doesn't make a lot of sense, to go, hey, I'm going to do this advanced stuff. I'm going to look for the Tibetan goji berries, or whatever it is,
Right.
You got to get the basics down. And that's why I think aged garlic extract is so valuable. It covers a lot of bases. And honestly, I think it's as valuable as people, taking a multivitamin or, taking something because they can't sleep and it's helping them sleep. This is really a foundational ingredient.
Well, the roots, no pun intended, but the roots of the company is interesting. The Wakanaga company out of Japan, who started this, I guess, back in the 50s, that was a pretty cool story too. That he teamed up with a German scientist, right? Something how that goes.
Yeah, they teamed up with a German scientist. They aged this product and they come up with something. Think about this. In the 1950s, they came up with something that still applies today in 2024. That's, to me, that's like the discovery of vitamin C, in my opinion.
Right.
It's super important to understand that the evolution of all the research they did from when they discovered in the 50s, and then they started, doing human studies and really looking at, well, what does this do in your body? And then the other piece is that continued commitment to doing the research. So whether it's doing double-blind, randomized, placebo-controlled crossover trials, or it's case studies, or it's all the publications, over 900 publications on aged garlic extract. There's not a lot of natural compounds that you can think of. Sure, you look at the basic nutrients like vitamin C and magnesium, you're going to see a lot of that because they're essential nutrients. So you see a lot of that. But when you get past that, you don't see as many studies with CoQ10 or with berberine or any other natural compound that's out there as you see with aged garlic extract. And I think that's something people should really get excited about, that, the studies continue to pour in and they continue to, Wakanaga continues to pour money into new research, finding deeper and deeper value in why people should take, Kyolic or aged garlic extract. And, just a recent study out of Brazil, people, men 19 to, I think it was 53, all with essential hypertension, they took aged garlic extract, and their blood pressure, an average drop of 18 points systolic, 12 points diastolic, which is even bigger than the previous 4 or 5 trials that showed like an average of 10-point drop on systolic and 6-point drop on the diastolic. And that's pretty big. I mean, there's a lot of people that are walking around. If you're listening today and you haven't taken your blood pressure, you should take your blood pressure because, hypertension is a silent killer. First sign of a heart attack, 1 out of 2 times is death. So it's kind of good to know your blood pressure. And if your blood pressure is just a little bit off, hey, I'm 130 over 90 or I'm 130 over 85. You should be getting on some, aged garlic extract and get that blood pressure down, get those blood vessels more pliable, protect your heart, protect your blood vessels so that you don't run into that problem.
Right. Even getting your coronary artery calcification scores, those CAC scores, that can probably help with that as well.
Well, absolutely. I mean, that's just it. Even in their studies with coronary artery calcification, and even the new study where they're using a scan called a Clearly scan, where they show calcification and they show vulnerable plaque as well. And the fact that it regresses vulnerable plaque, that's really important. That you're regressing that vulnerable plaque that can break off and create a stroke or, something like that. I mean, it's just, invaluable. And you've got leading researchers like Dr. Matt Rudolph, UCLA School of Medicine, Department of Cardiology, leading the way on those studies as well as other universities. So really, when I say it's as important as any fundamental nutrient you're taking, I mean, I take it every day. I mean, I think it's that important. I take it myself because I know the number one killer. It's going to be heart disease.
Does it? Yeah, I got an interesting. I have a friend of mine who's like 6'4", maybe about 250, a little overweight and things. Obviously, it's he was one. He wants to take garlic, but he says, "Do I need more?" Because he says when I take a multivitamin, because of my size and everything, it says take one. I usually take 2. He goes because of my size. He's just curious because he just came up to me the other day and said, "Should I be taking more like garlic? Would that make a difference in his life? Can you overdo it?" Is what I guess I'm saying.
No, you can't really overdo it, but I mean, the clinical studies are pretty clear. Like if you get up around, 2,400 milligrams of aged garlic extract a day, there were a few studies that went up to 3.6 grams or 3,600 milligrams a day. If you get to that 2,400 milligram a day dose, you're going to get benefit, regardless of your size. So, not going to overdo it. But then again, you don't need to take extra either, right? I mean, you get to that 2,400 milligram a day dose, and you're going to be getting some pretty darn substantial benefits. Even in that coronary artery calcification topic, they didn't even get a study where people that were on a statin and aspirin because they already had calcification, their rate of future calcification dropped by like 77%, when they took aged garlic with it. So, there's this amazing benefit to it that you just want to get on it. And you don't have to worry about the, kind of the stinking rose effect with aged garlic, because when they do the aging process, the volatile compounds that create that, kind of stinking rose effect, some people take garlic and they reek with garlic. You don't have to worry about that because the properties of garlic has changed.
Gotcha. Well, interesting what you just said a minute ago, taking it with medications and stuff. Have there's been any indication of contraindications of it? Any indication of contraindication in taking a supplement of garlic along with some medications?
Yeah, there's no real contraindication with it. Even with blood thinners, they did studies with blood thinners and they didn't see any shift in what was called their INR time, but basically time decline. So there's no real contraindication with it. Maybe if you have a true allergy to garlic, you wouldn't take garlic, right? Like other than that, no problem. No problem at all.
Well, I've noticed that when I was reading through the research journal that Kyolic puts out, Wakanaga puts out. These are excerpts for folks from peer-reviewed journals and meetings and things like that. And like Jim was saying, there's like over 900 or so of these peer-reviewed studies done on this, clinical studies done. And I noticed that sulfur keeps coming up, and that's a rich constituent of garlic. Do we get enough sulfur in our diet, and how important is sulfur for things?
Well, I mean, so you've got a process in your body called sulfation, for one. So sulfation is phase 2 detoxification, how your body is able to get rid of compounds going through your liver. So you need sulfur for sulfation. Sulfur is really good as well for your joints. So, a lot of times people will take methylsulfonylmethane, or MSM, for their joints because they know that, delivering sulfur helps with lubrication of the joints as well. And so having that sulfur compound in it is really important. And then it has something in it called S-allyl cysteine. So you're donating cysteine as well. And cysteine really helps your body with methylation. Once again, helping you not just to detoxify, but using the methylation process for making hormones and neurotransmitters. And so it's incredibly important. So it's one of those compounds. And you got to remember, because when they age it, it creates a family of compounds. So there's some compounds in it that help the immune system. So for example, they showed that aged garlic extract actually acts as a prebiotic, that it actually helps your microflora diversity, which is really important. And then the other piece is that it helps to stimulate what's called your gamma delta T killer cells. And those are kind of the mature T killer cells that help you fight off bugs. So once again, if you're taking aged garlic extract, you're taking kyolic on a regular basis, your immune system is just in a better defense posture if you come up against the everyday cold or flu or some other vector. So really important to understand that. That's why I say this is such a foundational compound, because it affects so many aspects of your chemistry. It helps raise something in your body. They did this study in people with metabolic syndrome, and there's a compound called adiponectin that your body makes. And adiponectin is important because adiponectin kind of measures the antioxidant status in your body. So when your adiponectin's low, you're under more free radical damage. And when your adiponectin's low, your insulin receptors don't want to work as well. And they found out when they gave this to people that are prone to having low adiponectin, that adiponectin level went up. And so really, I can't really emphasize enough, this is a product that, what we call has a pleiotropic effect, meaning it works across a lot of different systems of your body. The study that they showed where it dropped inflammatory cytokines like interleukin-6 and TNF-alpha, these are really big compounds that when your body's making too many of them, it starts to create havoc in your body. Your gut gets more permeable. Your immune system tends towards more antigen antibody responses. When you drop that by 33%, that's pretty powerful.
Darn tootin'. That's amazing. Gee.
Yeah.
And what about animals and kids? And I'm sorry to put them in the same category, but I've 40 years ago, maybe more. I go back when my kids were young, and I probably mentioned this on other garlic shows I've done. When they had a fever or something, I would crush up a clove of garlic and mix it with a little honey and give it to them. And I think they still hate me for it today. But it seemed to work on lessening the symptoms of a cold or a fever and things like that back in the day.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt about it. The traditional use of garlic, you can use it to fight off bugs, and it's a little. Crush up garlic and give it to kids. They're going, "Oh my God, why'd you do this to me?"
Right.
So in children, you could opt into using the liquid form of aged garlic if you don't like swallowing pills or they can't do it yet, but. True. Certainly grape is something that helps fight off. In fact, they did a study on college students, and they showed that it used the frequency and duration and the intensity of a cold or flu bug they would have. And so, yeah, it's, once again, incredibly important whether you're going to pull it off the shelf when, hey, you've got an acute situation. But, I think more importantly, people taking it daily get this multitude of benefits that can really help them get the best health possible that they're looking for, right? I mean, I think that's where people are at today. It's like, hey, how am I going to actually feel the best I can, really, reduce my risk? How do I really get to being able to feel like, hey, I'm strong. I feel strong and I feel resilient.
That's it. Yeah. Hey, folks, kyolic.com. You get a lot more information. It's KYOLIC.com. They make a host of just hundreds of products, and all based on kyolic, and some great probiotics in greens too, which would be 2 other shows. But they have a great a line of things for whatever your situation is. So it does great. You can also go to hollyhillvitamins.com, our sponsor too, and order, mention nuts, NUTZ, and we'll get you a nice discount on that too. You mentioned the liquid one. I know Kyolic makes a liquid version of it in a dropper. And this is a question I've never asked before. Have you ever heard of anybody using it topically for things? Like a cold sore or something somebody would put on?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, it would make sense that you would do it. I haven't had any personal experience doing that, but it would sure make sense. I don't know if you've done that.
No, I just thought of it. I think.
Yeah, but I mean, it would make sense that as long as it, once again, you have a cold sore and it's open. Hey, how does it feel when you put it on? And it's stunning or not? But all that stuff. But it makes sense that it has such a powerful kind of antimicrobial effect. That, you'd probably get some benefit from.
Well, I'm going to start my own company, so don't tell anybody there. I love that stuff. So, like I said just a minute ago, they make a lot of different formulas. I know they make a 1 a day, just the pure garlic in a tablet form. They also have it in a capsule form. I think it's a 2 a day to equivalency. But all their other products, their immune products and their CoQ10 and other things like that, the cardiovascular products, they add certain nutrients to it. So they're using the same type of garlic, right? And they're adding a couple of herbs or things to enhance it. Is that the purpose behind it?
Yeah, it is. And like what you could do is you could mix and match, right? So if you're interested in like heart, bone, and immune health, they've got a great gel cap where it's got, omega-3s in it, it's got vitamin D and K2 in it. Of course, and obviously why they included aged garlic in that formula is because they showed that when they were doing their coronary artery calcification scores that, oh my gosh, it stopped bone loss. And that's important because, when you're losing calcium from the bone, it can go to your arteries. There's a direct correlation to bone loss and coronary artery calcification, right?
Right.
So this is, they've got it. So you could say, hey, I'm going to take that and maybe I need the stress formula too, right? Or I'm interested in the cardiovascular formula, that has theanine in it, nattokinase in it, and I want to add, another formula to it. That's what's nice about the line is that, you can mix and match. And I would just say that if it's just general prevention, like I'm just looking for general prevention, if you hit that 1,200 milligram a day garlic goal, then you're in great shape. So if you wanted to use a circulation product and a detox and anti-aging formula, you can mix and match those two, get to that 1,200 milligram a day aged garlic target, and get the other benefits of the other ingredients that they're putting in there for those specific tests.
Gotcha. Wow. So when someone says to you, Jim, I take garlic, I get it from Amazon, I get it this brand and things like that. What's the best thing you can say to them? Is how, or in your experience, how do most companies make garlic supplements?
Yeah, so there's only one aged garlic extract, and that's the one by Kyolic, and that's the garlic that has all the studies that I was just talking to. That's the one that has accomplished that, right? Other garlics that are made through different processes. For example, Allison's pretty unstable. So if you're just taking garlic capsules or tablets, you're not going to get the same benefit. And because you don't have the same compounds in there. You want to get a garlic oil capsules and cook a pinhole in them and saute your spinach in it. Well, maybe that'll be a good way to use that, right? But in terms of going after, the heart health benefits, immune health benefits, managing kind of healthy inflammation response, I think those are specific to taking aged garlic extract. So you're just not going to get the effect that you were reading about. And unfortunately, if it's got garlic on a label, they can refer to the studies that were done with aged garlic extract and almost make it sound like, oh yeah, this is all garlic benefits everyone. So that for me is the way I reply to that. It's like, look, if you want the one that's been studied, it has the benefits, you got to go with aged garlic extract.
Yeah, and folks, Sure, definitely. And they also make some other great products like Kyo Green, and they also one of the forerunners in probiotics as well. But I was looking at some of their literature, and here's an interesting quote here. If you're not going to eat alkalizing foods, drink them. In terms of immune conditioning, green drinks are a simple, easy way to go. You ever hear that? I think it was by a Dr. James LaValle. That was a quote there.
No, without a doubt. I mean, look, you gotta, we know that like if your urine is acidic, right? So you're making a lot of free hydrogen ions. You've got more free radical damage. And eating vegetables is a great way to buffer your pH. And there's even studies on this. Like they took people that even after they gave them medications for their blood pressure, gave them medications for their cholesterol, gave them medications for their blood glucose, it didn't stop the progression of what's called the renovascular disease if their urine pH stays acidic. So, drinking greens is a great way to help alkalinize your urine and keep your pH where it needs to be to protect, really important organs like your kidneys so that you're able to detoxify and keep making healthy red blood cells and all the things that, your kidneys are involved.
Yeah. It's important things. We're still not eating properly in this country. That you've probably noticed it too, this whole big trend towards ultra-processed foods that are going on and fake foods they're making these days. You think it would be getting better, but sometimes you feel like it's such an uphill battle.
Well, I think without a doubt, it's still, people eat too much, too often, too late. They pick the wrong foods, right? They're under stress and don't get enough sleep. And then you get dietary skewing, like people doing the carnivore diet or people, picking, specific diets that exclude foods a lot of times like vegetables, which I think have a rich history of, benefiting people, right? And there's a lot of evidence that says that. So, yeah, I think especially in the U.S., it's harder and harder to get great food.
Yeah. It's a great company, folks. I've done about 20 shows over the years on garlic, and I always just pick Kyolic because there's really no other name that should go along with what you're taking there. They're just the best. They do it the best. Organically grown, which is really cool too. Most companies just don't do that, and so it's something. It's in my repertoire as well. So I'm a big advocate of it. And Jim, I really thank you being on. I know you're a busy guy. How can people get in touch with you or follow you and your career there?
I can just go to the real Jim LaValle on Instagram, or they can just go to JimLaValle.com.
Yeah, go there. It's very interesting stuff on that website there. And looking forward to your new book whenever that comes out. So that'd be cool.
Oh, absolutely. They're always coming.
Yeah. Thanks again, Jim, and have a great summer. And we'll talk again sometime next year. All right?
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you soon. Bye.
All right, folks, that's it. Remember, you can go to hollyhillvitamins.com, and if you want to order some, mention the word nuts. We'll give you, I think, 15% off on Kyolic garlic there. It's truly a foundational product, and I know I've said that for other things, but I truly believe that. And okay, I'm not sure what's I think we next show is going to be Ancient Nutrition with Jordan Rubin, and Jordan's been on television. He and Dr. Josh Axe, started a company a few years ago. Jordan used to be the owner of Garden of Life, which he sold many years ago, and is still out there farming. And we're going to talk about collagen and some of those other cool things. So tune in for the next episode. Until then, stay healthy. All right, guys, that's it. Please subscribe to the channel so you can get our latest episodes. And if you want to contact me with any questions or comments, try jimwilkcnc@gmail.com. Thanks again.